I can't believe it. There was snow this morning. So let's see here. Let me get myself going. Still getting used to this new Mac PowerPoint program. So, okay, so sound is good. And I'm having a work from home day today, as you can see by my background. Let's just wait just another minute here or so. So, please feel free to chat in, any comments or questions or observations. When we do that, I always get such great feedback, and always good for us to learn from each other. So why don't we get going here? So today we're going to do self-reflection, and I'm really looking forward to this. I had a really good time. It was fun, taking my notes and building this PowerPoint. And one thing about self-reflection for us to understand, right, is that it's a discipline. And self-reflection is the discipline of seeing yourself as you truly are, and not the way you think yourself to be, right? And I think that's a really important distinction, because we all of us have visions of how we see ourselves, how we're perceived, but are they really correct? Sometimes they are, and maybe sometimes not. And that's really what self-reflection is, right? Self-reflection is understanding, well, I meant to do it this way, but it came out that way. How come? Right? That type of thing. So, but it's a discipline, and it's a constant process, right? Where you're always looking at seeing yourself or seeing events as they truly are or were, not the way you thought they were. Okay. And that does, and we're going to get into that. That requires work. And I think that's the reason why I assigned the word discipline to it, because it is a disciplined process. And I think the other part about it is that it is work, okay? But we can't take it too seriously, because we can't take ourselves too seriously, right? Because we're all here to learn, all right? That the whole reason why we're here is to learn. And so we can't take it too seriously. It can be hard work, but it can be fun all at the same time. If you ever done anything like really strenuous or hard, or something that was a challenge and you had to work your way through it, but when you're all said and done, you looked at it and you might be a little bit tired from the event, but you've got that sense of fulfillment, right? And you sit down when you're done and you go, man, that was hard, but that was good. And that's really what self-reflection is. Okay, it's that process of really being open and honest with yourself, not taking it too seriously, okay, because you can't live in judgment. We're going to talk about that in a minute too. But that's where the big payoff is, right? And so, I can equate it in a couple of ways. I mean, for me, it's like at the end of the great workout, and I can sit down and I'm tired and I'm sweaty and, thirsty and all these other things, but I can sit there and say, that was really good. That was fun, right? And so we can't take ourselves too seriously. That's really critical. It's hard work, but it can be fun work, right? And that's where the big payoff comes from. And I found this quote from Michelle Kwan. Work hard, be yourself, and have fun, right? That's what it's all about. So we can't take it too seriously. And we have to be willing to take the journey. So I think that's where it starts, where we've got to be willing to say to ourselves, okay, I'm going to adopt the discipline of being self-reflective, okay? And I'm going to be willing to understand my strengths and my weaknesses, and understand that both my strength is a weakness and a weakness is a strength. And how am I going to grow through this process, right? Because self-reflection is all about the process of growth and change, right? And so we have to have that willingness. And then the next piece, okay, it gets a little harder here, is we've got to be willing. Part of the willingness to grow and change is to accept the truth of something, okay? And, and the truth can be hard sometimes, right? Where we just, where we look at something and go, I could have done that better, or I missed that. Okay. And being able to be truthful about it. Okay. And not convince yourself of something else. Now, as a species, we are exceptionally good at convincing ourselves of a lot of things. Many of them are not the truth. So what we have to be good at, okay, and this is where we can't take it too seriously, but this is where we can, it's a little hard work, but we can have fun at it, okay, is what's the truth, okay? So of a certain circumstance or a situation or something that you want, well, what's the truth of it, okay? And once you start with the truth of it, now you've got the foundation to be able to move forward. And that is what's so critical, okay? Is that if we're going to be reflective, we have to be truthful, okay? Because you can't truly be reflective on what's going on if you're not truthful, right? So the truth becomes the foundation. And the next part of this, which again, I think is hard, and it's hard because frankly, about how most of us were brought up, right? Especially those of us, brought up in more structured, religion, is there's always judgment, okay? And the key to being able to move through self-reflection, right, is you have the willingness and then you have the truth, but we also have to operate without judgment, because once we start judging ourselves, okay, we immediately start to shut down, okay? And all of a sudden, our view of things gets very narrow, because who wants to be judged poorly, right? Who wants to be labeled? Right. So if you have an event, let's say that didn't go all that well, and you have choices, right? You can say, well, I failed, right? Which is typical, right? That's judgment. Or the alternative to that is I learned. Okay. I always, you guys have heard me say this 100 times about Thomas Edison, right? When they asked him, how many times it took him to make the incandescent light bulb, and he said 1,000 times. And the interviewer said, well, how did you feel? How did you feel when you failed 1,000 times? He said, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The incandescent light bulb had 1,000 steps to success, right? That's paraphrasing. And so it's the same thing. So when we take a look at something that part of self-reflection, we look at something and we're like, I really could have done a better job with that. Okay. Or, ooh, I missed that. Or I hadn't considered, okay, all the possibilities, whatever the case may be. We have to do it from that sense of neutrality and the sense of observation, okay, where we're observing ourselves, okay? So it's a little bit like being, like you're the actor on set, but then you're also the director at the same time. Okay. And you're just watching everything. You're watching your own movie. Okay. And in those observations, if we operate purely from observation, we won't be in judgment. Okay. We're just observing. We're just, we just want this scene of our movie to come out okay. And it takes practice like everything else. Okay. But when we live in observation, then we're really absorbing everything. And the key to being in observation is not to be in judgment, right? So because fundamentally you can't be in judgment and observation at the same time, right? It's impossible, okay? Because when I'm in observation, I'm neutral and I'm observing, okay? If I'm in judgment, okay, part of judgment is that I've already made a decision. I've already made a decision that something was right or something was wrong, okay? And there's typically no right nor wrong, right? We're just learning. And so I think that's the next phase, right? So you have to go from willingness, willingness, and then you have to go into observation and without judgment. And then as you're doing all that, you're collecting information where now all of a sudden you're able to dissect what's going on and kind of understand. But it's really, you really can't be I can't stress that enough. You cannot be an observation and judgment at the same time, because the two are polar opposites of each other. Once you're in judgment, you've already made a decision. Okay. If you're in observation, you're gathering information. And then next, you're going to be flexible. Okay. So part of self-reflection is being flexible enough in our thinking to be able to say things like, I didn't think of that. Or until you said that to me, that would have never occurred to me. Or I'm sorry you feel that way. That's not what I meant. Okay. You know, all those types of things, right? It's about being flexible and then being able to understand, understand that the way we grow, okay, is through flexibility, okay, where that we're changing our status quo, right? And then lastly, once we've gone through this process, okay, then the next is we adjust, okay? The next time we have this certain circumstance, okay, that we've been reflective about, then we adjust. We adjust to a new way of thinking, a new way of looking at it, and then we go into observation again. Well, how did that work, right? And then and then the cycle just, starts all over again. And then every time you do that, okay, you're gonna refine, and that's really what self-reflection is. It's really about refinement. And how do we understand that? Well, I used to do it this way, now I do it. I used to do it that way, now I do it this way. And somewhere down the road, you're going to do it a different way because you're going to evolve over time, right? So let's get into this week's presentation. All right, there we go. So in summary, okay, so self-reflection, it's hard work, but we're going to have fun while we do it. We're committed to the truth, seeing things as they are, okay? We have to have a willingness to change, okay? We have to accept the truth about things, okay? We have to do it where we're non-judgmental. We observe, then we flex and adjust, okay? And that's how we use self-reflection in a way that's positive. It's not reductive, it's expansive, okay? Things that are reductive make us small, things that are expansive make our thinking bigger. So let's see, I don't have any chats, it doesn't look like. Oh no, we have one chat. From Edie, it's amazing to me how easily transformation comes with accurate self-reflection. Yeah, it's a fun process, and the reality of it is that we're here really to learn, and we're here to expand our thinking, to expand our thought process, and to learn. And we can't learn, if we're operating in things like judgment, if we're not flexible, if we can't observe, all those types of things. So, I thought it was fun putting together these steps, right? And the other part about it is that, you see people, you'll see circumstances, right? We'll say with people, right? But you'll see circumstances where something has happened, okay? And to protect people's egos, they'll not be totally truthful with themselves about it. And the problem with that is that you're moving in a direction from a flawed foundation. And that's why it's so critical to be truthful with yourself about something. It's okay. Like, you're here to make mistakes. It's the whole reason why you're here. Okay. And so how do we take advantage of that? Right. And I think that whole thing about being truthful, not judgmental about yourself, right? Because, I was brought up Catholic, and you're judged for everything. And so there's this institutionalization of judgment, okay, that we really have to get beyond, okay. If you read any of the Buddhist or Hindu works, they do a really good job of describing that and being able to set it in the right perspective. So, Lucian, I believe in the rule of law and welcome judgment. Yeah, and I'm wrong based on the facts and the truth I will accept and change. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, it's an interesting process to go through. But once you get the discipline and you see yourself going through it, okay, then it just becomes habit, just like everything else, right? Deal with circumstances as they truly are, not the way you want them to be. So, all righty. Well, that's it from here. I hope everybody has a great week. It was great to be with everybody. Take care.